I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh! Answer me, man.
One moment, Counsel. Is this related to the current case?
Not at all. Naturally. Oh, you're lying. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. What? Really?
Does the defense concur, Counsel?
Kazuma? You're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Azuki's last moments, his own father. I know, I do understand that, but even so... Prosecutor Azuki... Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me, please. He's begging me! I cannot say no to that! I cannot say no. Very well, then the defense has no objection.
I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness.
The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Amnesia? Just like Kazuma? What is happening? Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time, but do I have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job? Yes, you're right. And not only that. Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry, the human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface, and when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama? But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out one way or another. Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Expose the truth? About his father, right? Perhaps if I pointed out a contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not? I don't know what you're talking about, Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo, what are you talking about? Some contradictory evidence? Some contradiction. Aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of convict. just prior to his execution. Prison Governor Barry Caden. Have we seen the name Barry Caden before? Oh yeah. Yeah, he's still the governor. Okay. Yeah. He's still the prison governor. Well, we have to do it for Kazuma. I don't know what exactly, but I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a code of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. What? What Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, what did he claim? He claimed that he forgot, right? You resigned from your role. But actually that's not true, right? You didn't resign. You were relieved. That is not the same thing, right? Okay.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me... Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal note, ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice. And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Berkeley. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. What? False memories? What is happening? Isn't it? Fake memories? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th of June, 10 years ago, and on that day, something very serious took place at Berkeley Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder. and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th June, 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Berkeley like a hurricane. What?
Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned?
My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Enoch Drebber.
But surely those reports were exaggerated.
There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there.
The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering.
I have reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved.
Are you suggesting that the prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
I'm sorry, Daly, this is serious business, but I can't help you know. As Chief Warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution of 4, eh? Well, it seems to fellas that Scotland Yard wants to have a few words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. Is it just me, or is he spinning faster and faster? And the next thing I knew, The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape and finished my life. It's over.
Oh no, the bailiff, fetch a doctor at once.
Holy crap.
Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know, I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover. Right.
10 years ago now.
Oh, 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. What? But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Wait, this is the first time we're hearing about this. He attempted to commit suicide. Oh, that's what the scene was all about. Okay, with the broken glass. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Do you know? Oh, Iris. You were miles away. Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he'd disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean?
It's exactly what I did. Uh-oh.
He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone, solving mysteries is too important for him.
Oh, so in that regard, he's just like me?
That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley after all. I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. A plan of action? So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zieks definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody. Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see. What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out, just by examining the corpse, surely? Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. Huh, that is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks though, aren't there? Do you mean... I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office. Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. That I can write in my manuscript. But then, why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. His movements? We don't exactly know what his movements are because he had a doppelganger, apparently. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi? Oh my, yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a homeless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson, yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right, to ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband. Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? Let me guess, St. Sinos? Ah, it's St. Sinos. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. Wait, there's also St. Bartholomew's, or Bart's if you like, which is built exactly the same as St. Sinos. But that's amazing, Bruno. You found the latest husband already. Well, I suppose I have by accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No. So, when a convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregsy? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Runo. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinners, then. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson's shooting iron will soon set them straight. Wilson's shooting iron? That water pistol? It's stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine. Then I'm quite sure it will be very effective. I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still, let's go and see what we can find out. Yes! Okay, let's go. To Lord Chief Justice's office? You wanna go there? We wanna visit Baron Van Zieks. Perhaps we should leave Mr. Vigil in peace for a little while. He's only just been admitted. Okay. Sure. Then I guess we'll visit Lord Strongheart? Asugi. Oh my god, I'm calling him Asugi now. No, he's Kazuma. No arguments, Prosecutor Asugi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed, is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it, he never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asugi. My lord. Kazuma! Don't just go. And there he goes. He left without saying a word. Yes, what are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zieks' trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asugi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes and 41 seconds. 42, 43. Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Oh, some backbone. That's unexpected from you, Ryunosuke, in front of Lord Strongheart. Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Van Zieks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zieks made a name for himself amongst the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days.
Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe.
Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey.
And people believed Lord Van Zieks was responsible?
He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident.
So he must have had a solid alibi then?
Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences.
Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial.
And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated.
Is that why it's a closed trial?
Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years.
So the last one was the professor's? The trial of Genshin Asogi?
Correct.
Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart.
Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zieks has condemned now, looking to avenge his father's death in the same way.
They do say that what goes around comes around.
However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well.
Kazuma is?
I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others.
Ah, so that's what all these gears are about in here?
If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps.
What do you mean?
Not something with which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow.
He's well aware that I am Kazuma's friend, so... yeah, if he tells me, then I might do something against him.
Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours.
Oh my, that is a long time. Almost as long as the first time you were supposed to meet with us.
And I hold you entirely responsible.
Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes? I wonder if you might agree to us talking with Prosecutor Asogi.
Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office.
Oh, that's actually pretty nice of him. Oh, thank you. I guess he knows that I am friends with
Kazuma, as I said, he knows. Let's go to see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Yeah, he's changed quite a lot. Wait, does he have his own office? That's crazy. No, he's using Lord Marok van Zieks' office.